In this project, we will create a simple tip calculator. The example I've shown on Google Classroom is something like this, where they can enter the bill amount and then select their tip amount, and then it should return a value. So in my body, I'm going to need an input box and some type of a label. Okay, so there's my label, then I'll add my input. Okay, and then if I preview this, okay, so I've got my label, my box. Now what I want is 3 buttons, one for the 18%, 20%, and 25%. So I am going to create a button. Okay, there's one for 18%. I'll just duplicate that. 20%, and then 25%. So I've got my 3 buttons. Let me preview that again. Okay, I'd actually like those to be on a different line, so I'm going to throw in a break tag here. Okay, then I need a paragraph where the amount will be displayed. So I'll create a paragraph. This paragraph is going to need an ID. Okay, there we go, paragraph ID tip amount. Now I'm ready to start doing the coding. So in my code, I'm going to need to get the user input from bill amount. Then I'm going to need to multiply that by 18%, 20, 25%, and then write that out. I'm going to need a separate function for each of my buttons. So var bill amount, okay, so var bill amount equals document.getId bill amount, and then I need to make sure I do a dot value. If I just do this, it's actually going to get the entire input box, not just the amount in it. It'll try to actually store the entire box. I don't want that. I want to store just the value inside. Now that I have that, I can write my different functions. So here's my first function. I'm just going to create a new variable, var tip amount. I'm going to multiply the bill amount by 18%, which is as a decimal. Move the decimal back 2 places, 0.18. Then I'm going to get the tip amount paragraph, document.getId tip amount. I'm setting its inner HTML too, and then I'm concatenating some text with the actual tip amount. So it'll actually write out the words tip amount is. It will add the $sign to it, and then plus tip amount. Okay, so now to run it, I need to actually add to this 18% button on click equals tip 18. If I run this, it should work now. I'll enter my bill of, say, $20, 18% tip. The tip amount is $0. So why am I getting a tip amount of $0? Well, this is a common mistake made by a lot of students. This line right here is outside of the function, which means this line is going to run right away. So as soon as this program runs, it's going to get the bill amount. Well, as soon as the program runs, what is in this input box? Well, nothing. So what the program's doing is getting nothing and storing it as bill amount, then taking nothing, multiplying it by 0.18. So what I need to do is make sure that it does not get that amount until the function is run. So I'm going to move this down to my function. Then I will refresh this. Now when I type in, let's say $50, 18%, tip amount is $9. Now it is working the way that I would expect it to. From here, then, it is just a matter of duplicating this function. I need a separate function for each of my tip amounts. So then I could call this one tip 20, call this one tip 25, or whatever you want to call it, and then just make sure that I add the on-click event to each of these other buttons, and everything should be working. So that is how you get user input, do some math, do whatever you want to manipulate the input, and then return it to your screen.